Good morning to you. I wanted to come on this morning. I've had a heavy week. This is the last day of registration. So I haven't been on a few days, but I wanted to just speak to you this morning on chosen. And so where this came from was I was reading this book. I've been reading it. I just finished it up by St. Marshall, and it's You've Been Chosen. And it's a very good book, You've Been Chosen by St. Marshall. And it made me think about something and what I like, what she said in that book, she would, out of all the things that she's done, the most magnificent thing that she has done is to stay close to God. Because in the story, and it's true, she's telling her story, surviving cancer, and how out of all the jobs that she's had, this walk with cancer, it's no position in the world that takes the place of how you have to depend totally on God and not money. And believe me, if you look her up, she's now over the Mavericks, but the football team. But anyways, I wanted to say to you this morning, listen to me closely. There are some things that God has chosen you for, some things he has chosen you to go through. And the only reason that he chose you is because he knew he could trust you with it. Let me say that again. There are some things in life that God has chosen you for. And the only reason that he chose you is because he knew that he could trust you with it. You know, even in illnesses, even with this author, St. Marshall, with her, I'm talking about in us, it's everyday people. There are some illnesses that we deal with that God knew that was going to become a part of our life. But you know what? He equipped us with everything that we needed to get through it. Everything, anything. And it don't have to be a sickness. I'm not just holding it to that. But anything that you or I are faced with, the only reason why it's there, because God knows that he could trust you with it. Because he puts inside us everything that we need. It doesn't matter how the outside sees it. It really doesn't. What matters is how God sees it. How God sees us holding on in the midst of our troubles. How God sees us when we feel like the whole world is on top of us. When we feel like people just turn their backs on us. When we feel that people are so critical of what we're going through or what we're doing in life. God say, don't worry about that because I got you. You know why? Because I'm the one that put that. I wrote that in the script. I wrote that in the script in your life. You know why? Because I knew that I could trust you with it. I knew that. A friend of mine, great man, I worked on his campaign, and he worked very hard on that campaign, right? And in the end, you know, his opponent, he won the campaign. But here's the thing. In speaking with him, I said, you are the GOAT. You are the greatest of all times. And the reason why you had to go through that, because, you know, we're all hurt when we don't end up winning. But see, in a sense, you won. In reality, you won what God wanted you to win. And what was that? Favor with God, continued favor with God. God know that he allowed you to go through that because he knew that you could be trusted with his assignment. He chose him to run as the first African American in Galveston County for Galveston County judge. But see, that will be written in the history books. That will never go away. So God needed to use him at that time. And I'm using this as an example for many of us who sometimes we find ourselves in situations and we wonder, I've done all of this and it didn't come out like I thought. But guess what? It turned out just like God wanted it to turn out. It turns out just like God wanted it to turn out. And this lady here was talking, the author was talking about how horrible, if you read the book, how horrible her father was to them. He even threatened her with a gun. But that she comes back and she shares with the readers of how that formed her. It helped to form her in the person that she became. See, there's some people in your life that are not kind to you. They are not kind to you. But you know what? God said, that's okay, because I'm going to use them to form your life. Oh, yes, God can take your enemy, make your enemy your footstool in order to form your life. What I mean by that, that later on, I'm not going to take that. I'm not going to take somebody beating on me. I'm not going to take someone talking to me any kind of way. I'm not going to take someone telling me how small I am and how big they are. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take those experiences that was meant for my bad and turn them around for my good. I'm going to go get that education because you told me I would never be educated. I'm going to have a good spouse because you told me I never would have a good spouse. I'm going to be able to buy a home. You know, all of us just think about what it is that you want. Just think about some things that you have accomplished, that people have told you you wasn't going to do it. But it made you, your trials, your tribulations, they made you pick up and keep going. Every tool that God had put in you, every tool that God had put in you, he put those tools in you for a reason. And you are better because of that. So when people sit back and they laugh at you and they talk about you and they try to diminish you and they try to say what you are not, let me tell you something. You straighten your back up, you hold your head up, and you keep walking, and you do every desire that you have in life. You make sure you continue to work towards that because God has chosen you. Man didn't choose you. God chose you. Because he chose you, you got to finish the course. It don't matter what people say. People say stuff about me every day. People still say stuff about me every day. And I know that I wouldn't do anything to hurt anybody. My ultimate goal is to inspire and to encourage other people as I encourage myself. It doesn't do you any good to try to destroy somebody. It doesn't do you any good to try to put somebody else. And you're absolutely right. As long as God approves what you do in heaven, it's over. It's over. As long as what God approves you, you are so right. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Because if God is not approved with what you are doing, he didn't choose you for that. But things that he have chosen you for, you're going to be all right. And you may be with tears in your eyes. You may go through something that caused you a lot of pain. You may go through rejection. You may go with people turning against you, some of the very people, come on, we all know this. Some of the very people you trusted was the very people that turned around and broke your heart. Was the ones that turned around and talked negative towards you. Was the ones that in your face, they was on the front row clapping, but they wasn't clapping for you. But you know what? God had chosen you. I say to you this morning, before I get off this morning, please, from the bottom of my heart, from my lips to God ears, please know this. God loves you. You've been chosen. Don't you stop for nobody and for nothing, because every tool that you need for this thing that God got for your life, He's already poured it into you. He's poured everything into you that you need. That you need. So, again, whatever you're going through, hold on. Yes, you get tired. I see you. Yes, you get tired. Everybody gets tired. But you got to, no matter how people hate on you, no matter how people talk about what you're doing and how you're doing, let me tell you something. God is still right there with you. He's still right there with you. He just wants you to talk to him. That's what he wants from you. This viewer, I'm telling you, sometimes God got to do things to get your attention. He just wants you to talk to him so he can open up the channels of your mind and speak back to you. Because over in Isaiah, that 40th chapter, what does it say? Hey, they that wait upon the Lord, he shall renew thine strength. He shall renew thine strength. Read it. And let me tell you something. Jeremiah also tells us. He also tells us that God said, I have plans for you. I have plans to prosper you. See, the only reason why the devil is fighting you, and only reason why he's trying to make you feel like you got this curse over your life, because he know that God, what he's doing for you is a mighty thing. See, what you're going through, you're encouraging somebody else, because somebody else is looking at your strength. Somebody, and I'm telling you, you're not going to meet all the people whose lives you are blessing. You don't know who's watching you. There's a lot of people watching you that you don't even know. There's some woman, there's some man, there's some boy, there's some girl who is watching you and you don't even know it. From afar. You tell that devil, get out of my life. Get your hands off of me. I don't belong to you. I never belong to you. I will never give up to you. Because God is my strength. God is my salvation. Yes, he told me that weapons would form, but they're not going to prosper. Don't you ever give up. I'm saying this to you because I've been there. Don't you ever give up on God. You might give up on a lot of things, but don't never give up on God. Because let me tell you something. There's a battle in everybody's life. I don't care how people go on social media and make you feel like their lives are so perfect. Let me tell you something. Everybody has a battle in their life. And it's raging. It's raging. But you know what? That's when we turn to him. And he says to us with open arms, I've been waiting on you. I've been waiting on you, my child. I needed to speak to you. I wanted to talk to you. See this here, I keep it close. I have several of them, my Bibles. And I have them several forms, not just the King James Version. I keep it close to me. I have one in my car. I got one here in the house. I have several here in the house. I have one on my job. So everywhere I go, I keep his word. So guess what? But most of all, you got to hide his word in your heart's mind. So every now and then, if you can't say nothing, but Lord have mercy, you got that. Okay? Sometimes all you can say is, Lord, have mercy. Lord, have mercy. This week been a rough week for me, and it always is around registration. And today I've got to do conduct a training. But here I'm going to say to you, when God lays something on your heart to speak out, you have to. Don't sit idle because you're worried about how people are going to treat you. You go live on these things. You pour out what God put on your heart. He didn't just do it for me. He did it for you too. Pour out. Don't be afraid. Step out there, because what you are keeping on the inside of you, God got millions of people that need to hear what you are saying. You know why? Because he put it in you. And what he reminded me, you can be tired, but you can't get too tired for what I have you to do. Because I am the one who renews your strength. Me and this bad hair day already. Okay, I'm going to do a second live because I wanted to talk on expecting things from God. So guess what? I'm going to get off of this live and I'm going to start up another live because I want to come through another message from God to share with you. But this message, you've been chosen. Have that in your heart and keep going. I love you, and so does God. All right. See you in a few minutes.